Hello, this is Mike from Humble Running, and as you can see, I am locked and loaded for a full A/B comparison test of two super trainer slash racing options for 2025. We have the Salomon S Lab Ultra Glide against the North Face Vectiv Enduris 4. Now, I have full written reviews of both of these shoes. I've done a couple quick videos on the Ultra Glide. I've also done a comparison with this shoe against the Merrell MTL Adapt Matrix and the Brooks Caldera 8, but I have not had these shoes head to head yet since I got this one a little bit later. So I'll be taking these out on the trail today. Right now I have the Salomon on my right foot and I have the North Face on my left foot. And as usual, I have one index card with only specs in my pocket. The rest of it's coming straight from my head, straight on the run first impressions. So you're gonna get them as I go, okay? None of this is pre-planned. This is kind of actually a shotgun test. I ran out of the house really early because the weather's switching to be a little bit warmer. I had a massively fun powder day yesterday, but it could be getting a little warmer. So there's a lot of moisture in the ground, and later in the afternoon, things tend to soften up. So I raced out here to get this A/B testing in early while the ground is nice and hard. I have a nice varied route here. Kind of scoot down this little descent here. I get a good feel going on a kind of light descent grade. There's a little bit of rocky technical section, some icy river crossings. Hopefully I can stay upright. Then I have a couple of uphill options, a little bit of climbing. So I'll definitely push these and see how they feel, how they flex uphills on the climb. And then I'll also be able to test stability on the downhills. The sun is not gonna hit those side of the hills too early. So I should be able to get some nice firm ground for the test. All right, let's go. Just as I was about to take off, I noticed that I had to readjust the quick lace on my right foot. I don't think that quick lace around the ankle is quite as dialed as some others, especially like the S Lab Genesis. That one feels like I'm really locked down. This one I feel like perhaps it's comfortable, but not quite as dialed down. I had to, just tug on that quick lace tab a little bit just before I started, after I had initially thought I had it secure. So North Face feels fine. I probably didn't tie the North Face as tight, but the upper feels more secure in that one. Just gonna hang a quick right here. It's a little flatter up there. Gonna warm up a little, it's very cold. You can see this ground. It's firm right now, but probably about an hour or two, that section I just ran over will get sloppy. So good time to get out here early. So just as I kind of loosen up at this lower grade here, I'll talk about the stack a little. The Salomon is 41.35 and the North Face is 38.32. Now that's what I measured for the North Face. So if you see anything different, that's what I get from the ground to the top of the insole. And that tracks comparatively against the Ultra Glide. Do feel that it's, I guess, 3 millimeters extra. I think the forefoot cushioning is more noticeable with the Ultra Glide. With the Enduris, again, you have that Vectiv rocker. So ahead of the ball of the foot, and especially at the toes, you're a little bit up off the ground. So when you land, you don't get that feeling of kind of landing on the midsole, landing on any softness from the foam right away, especially at the very front of the shoe, probably the front third. The Salomon is a little more flatter on the ground. the rocker starts further up by the toes, and that, in comparison with the extra 3 mil, makes it feel like you have a noticeable amount more cushion under the forefoot. Heel as well. So the Vectiv rockers also at the rear, but not as much as the toes. But the Salomon is kind of flat through the back of the shoe. Not that big Vectiv rocker kind of tilting up. So I feel like the 6 mil drop is probably a little bit more apparent with the Ultra Glide. Get wet, there we go. See, this is nice and frozen now. It's good for running. So the 6 mil drop feels more apparent with the Ultra Glide than the Enduris. In the Enduris, the drop is less noticeable, mainly due to the rocker. You feel like you're getting all that cush right under the center of the foot. Not so much like, oh, I have a bunch under the heel, and then I notice a difference as I transition to the forefoot. You kind of feel it with the Enduris, pretty much centered under the ball of the foot, and then it relies on that rocker. So, yeah, a little different kind of feel underfoot. Certainly affects the ride, which I'll talk about. This trail is actually in good solid shape here, so I may continue on here, being that everything is so firmed up right now. So, of course, the relief spheres on the Salomon here are a big feature point. So I would say having 2 different shoes on, I was wondering if this could help me differentiate the feeling of them. And I would say, yes, it does feel a little bit different, but also the North Face is wider in the toe box. I feel like my foot is spread out wider. Also, the platform's wider. I've measured a 5 mil wider platform at the forefoot, under the forefoot, and even wider at the midfoot and the heel. So I said in one of my videos that the only sphere I could really tell was ahead of the ball of the foot, near the base of the big toe. And you know, given the stack height difference here, being that there's more cushion with the Salomon, the North Face is wider, more spread out. You have that rocker. Yeah, it feels different, but I can't necessarily say that it's better or worse, or what exactly is the effect of it. I mean, you got more cushion to start with, so is that the sphere, or is that just having 3 extra mil of foam underfoot? You know, it's hard to say. So I've got them almost equal ground platform at the midfoot. I got 76 for the Salomon and 75 for the North Face. But under the heel, the Enduris does flare out. I got 95 under the heel and 90 for the Salomon. Let's see. It's a little mush. Not too bad yet. Okay. Not too bad. Probably stop over here. I don't want to push it too much. It's going to just soften up. So I did want to mention, as I was running through that little bit of rocky, somewhat technical section there, something I noticed about the Salomon, the fit doesn't feel as secure. I feel like around the midfoot, it feels snug when I kind of lace it down. Feels good on foot, flat ground, cruising, nice and comfortable. But sometimes when I get in that twisty terrain, I feel my foot kind of twist inside the shoe a bit. Let me take a stop here for a moment. So with this Salomon here, I don't feel really strapped down across this area right here as I do with the Enduris. Like, I don't feel my foot move inside this shoe at all. Normally I would say in more technical kind of twisty terrain, a rocker shoe like this is generally maybe harder to kind of manage. But I think the overall foot security and the fact that I'm really strapped down right here, my foot does not move at all, I could easily handle that. The Salomon is a little bit different here. I don't feel that same level of lockdown right around here. I hit, not all the time, I stepped on one rock with my right foot, and I just felt my foot twist inside the shoe and got like, you know, out of orientation inside the shoe. I almost had to shake it back into place. And I noticed that on one of my other runs previously in the ice, I took a wrong step or something, and my foot like completely like shifted almost like up on the side of the shoe, and I almost had to take a few steps and kind of like get my foot back into place as I was running. I would imagine, just based on having a narrower platform, similar to how I like the MTL Adapt, how I feel like that shoe is more agile because it's narrower, I can get around more than a kind of wider shoe like this. But I don't really feel that's the case with this one, just because of that lack of hold. I just feel like my foot is twisting inside the shoe if I push it too far. Something I don't feel at all with the Enduris 4 here. Definitely better upper hold here with the Enduris 4. You can see the width too. This is wider across here. With the rocker, my toes feel a little bit off the ground, as I was mentioning earlier. Like, I feel the cush more here because I have more ground contact probably up till here. Whereas with this one, I'm a little bit off the ground, starting closer to the ball of the foot. So it feels less cushy. There's 3 mil less, but it's wider, and I like that feel. I feel like my foot is really, I have great feel in this. This I feel just a little touch like I'm constricted in here. So with the more secure midfoot and having the wider forefoot here, allowing me to feel the ground more, I think this is definitely more technically capable than this one. So in that flat section back there, did notice a difference in kind of the ride of the shoe. There's only 2 ounce difference in weight. The North Face is 2 ounce, 6 grams heavier in my US 10, which is negligible. Don't feel that at all, relatively. But with the ride, again, the North Face really leans into that rocker. You're landing, and it just kind of has that smooth roll. Doesn't feel unstable as previous Vectiv kind of setups did for me. Those I felt I was landing more on a round spot that just felt wobbly underfoot. Here I feel like I'm landing on more of a stable part of the rocker. And then once I transition through the ball of the foot, it's just I don't lose any stability. I don't notice any wobble from that rocker. The Salomon's a little different. It's just, I noticed that softness under feel. I would say cruising kind of in the flats like that, that's actually maybe a couple % downhill. But the Salomon does feel nice. It's cushy, it's softer. If you want to really have that soft feel underfoot, especially the forefoot, and are less concerned about kind of that rocker and possibly being more efficient, you know, you still feel that 6 mil drop more with the Salomon. So in a sense, you have a forward kind of rocker more with the kind of full length of the shoe versus just the Vectiv kind of coming up front. Unless you're a heel striker with the Vectiv, then you're gonna roll into it more from the heel. And then again with the relief spheres, it probably depends where you land. It really does. Like, I can't tell too much difference. Maybe if you have certain pressure points in the balls of your foot or toes or arch or heel, you know, that just seems very individualized. If that's something you struggle with, this is definitely something different, something unique. You'll have different feel, possibly under different areas of the foot. I don't have those real specific pressure points or issues with my feet, so it's hard for me to say. But if you deal with those kind of issues, I have a friend that has an aroma type thing, and she struggles biking with it. So if you're at your last resort, maybe try it, you know. The issue is it's, you know, $250, so maybe an expensive try. But perhaps you can get a hold of a pair and test them out indoors on a hard surface somewhere before using them. And maybe you could tell if those spheres, it may be an aha moment. Yeah, I got my Injinji light crew socks here. I got tights on, but these are nice. They're thinner, really like them. The fact that I can wear toe socks with both of these shows that, yeah, this one is definitely nice and wide, as you can see. And, you know, although I say this one being relatively narrower, you know, there's space for at least a light toe sock in here. So this is the part that I had to readjust when I started. I just feel like this, I don't know, it doesn't feel like it really secures me as well as other quick lace systems from Salomon. I don't know if you could see from the forefoot there. It's narrower for sure than the Enduris, but again, I've got a toe sock in there, so I'm not saying it's narrow at all. The garage is nice, the setup. I don't know if that hinders the security, but yeah, you see how when I pop it off, it just, you know, this, I don't know, not that, you know, any tongue is going to be loose when it's not tied down, but it's just, I don't know, it's not as secure. Yeah, one thing with these, with the North Face shoes, they've gone with this scoop thing, and I think that does let some debris in. So if you're worried about that, you may need a gaiter with these. Let's see what I got. There was something in here. Yeah, see? I got a minor pebble in there. I felt that during the run, you know. It may look small, but over a long time, and if you get a bunch of those in there, that's not fun. Or at least it's annoying. So this, and also the sky too. See, this seems to, you know, it flares back. No issues, obviously, that's nice, but stuff, let me get the shot. Stuff can kind of, I think, probably through here, get into the shoe. This is, don't necessarily like this being too tight. It hasn't given me a blister yet, but it definitely, this is the opposite. If you see, I'm standing kind of funny now, but you see how this flares away and this kind of comes towards it. So if you're overly sensitive to this, that may be something. It hasn't bothered me yet because look how kind of loose it is. It's not a lot of pressure, and at least on the inside, it's not rigid. So far, I've been safe with that. All right, let's get ready. All right, initial feel out here after changing shoes. That always can be a little different feel after having different shoes on. Yeah, feels about the same. I'm not noticing any different impressions. Yeah, definitely feel more forefoot cushion with the Salomon here. More noticeable, noticeably wider with the Enduris 4 again. Also point out, I feel under the front of the toes, I feel the shoe with this because of that toe sweep. It's up off the ground. So I feel it's not bothersome, at least for me. I don't know if maybe you don't like anything kind of pressing. It doesn't press as much as the Pro 2, I'll say. But I notice it here, similar to the Pro 2, but not as aggressive. This one, yeah, it sweeps up a little, but not as much, so I don't feel anything under the toes. Hey there.
Colors, come on.
Oh my God. I'm testing here. Don't know what she thought of my A/B testing. Must not be a subscriber. My drone just completely flew away on me. Never happened. I went this way and it went over there. Well, seems like this is gonna turn into a rescue operation for my drone. I think it lost me. I made a little turn and it just shot off, tried to catch up, and then couldn't find me and just kept going. So let's see. I am gonna have to head back. This is my track and it flew off somewhere in there. So, man, I'm gonna have to go do this little loop, go look for it. So with the Salomon outsole here, I don't notice any lack of traction or any lack or loss or difference between this one and the Enduris. I mean, I guess there's some question being as how it's so textured underneath and the lugs can seem somewhat isolated in certain areas, if they're gonna perform as well. And for me, I haven't noticed much difference. The shoe is still flexible underfoot. It contours decently well. That helps. Yeah, the Enduris also has 4mm lugs. They're a little closely spaced together, a little closer than Salomon. Might feel a little smoother with the North Face shoe, just being that kind of flatter. But again, I don't know if that's the feel Salomon is going for with those spheres. It doesn't feel any worse though. Not detrimental. Oh, my drone is somewhere, I think in that kind of valley there. There's also obviously a stream, so hope it didn't decide to take a dip. All right, this is kind of the rough area. Holy cow. This may be a little trickier than expected. All right, so that's a wrap on the A/B test on the Salomon S-Lab Ultra Glide and the North Face Vectiv Enduris 4 here. I had to cut it a little short. I didn't get the up and down hill testing that I wanted to. Maybe I'll throw that into another ABC test against some other shoes. My drone flew away on me, so I spent about an hour and a half searching for it. Unsuccessfully, of course. I think I did get the FLYAWAY insurance, but you know, I had some follow footage that was, I thought, pretty cool. So I guess you'll take my word for it that I was testing them. As you can see, for that search, I was going down in these gullies, kind of off trail, traipsing across these streams and stuff. Steep parts, muddy, loose parts. I came back to the car to get my phone to see if the wireless connection thing would help a little. It didn't. But I felt more comfortable in that kind of off trail in this one. Again, because of the secure fit. Also, this is being a little bit taller, a little bit narrower. I just felt a little unsteady. Kind of in my initial search, I still had one shoe on each foot. And then I switched to both of these because I just felt like going around off trail and hiking up these hills, searching around, you know, side hilling and stuff. I was much more comfortable in these. The last and perhaps main thing to talk about is the price point. I think these shoes, obviously I'm comparing them, they're comparable, they're within the same range, they have a different feel as I've described, but this shoe is $160 and this shoe costs $250. So for shoes in the same AB kind of test category, that's probably quite a big difference, and probably in my mind too big of a difference. Like this shoe at $250 seems a bit high. You know, I in probably most regards prefer this Enduris 4. So perhaps you don't like the rocker feel, that could be a little bit different for you. Perhaps you do have maybe some valid reason that you would want to try these relief spheres. Maybe you have pressure point issues at the bottom of your feet. Perhaps this could help. Not sure. For me personally, I didn't notice too much of a difference outside of that one spot over here. Perhaps you just like a cushier feel underfoot. This definitely has more softness both in the rear and the front of the forefoot. Again, you have a more kind of front flex at the toes, and you're kind of, it gives you that solid roll still without the perhaps fuller rocker roll of the Enduris here. So this probably feels like more of a traditional ride compared to this one. This one, the roll is noticeable, your forefoot is up, you kind of like landing on that center of that rocker and rolling forward. So this one has probably a different ride compared to most shoes. But again, yeah, $250 for this one. It's quite a lot. I mean, you get a lot of shoe here, very performant. If you're thinking of doing long miles and even racing for sure, this is an option. They're both options for the same thing. This one is just $90 cheaper. So again, I hope you enjoyed this A/B test. I have more shoes in this type of category. If you'd like to see something specific, maybe I'll do a bigger shoe roundup in the future. Of course, if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below and perhaps I will get to them in my next Q&A session. Thank you for watching. Luckily, in the foothills, the brush is not super thick. Hopefully, I'll be able to spot it, but I couldn't see it. It got so far away. I don't know how far it went. I'm gonna cross this stream over there. Probably look on the other side first. Oh, there's a lot of water down there. Oh, hope I found a dry spot to land. I take that back about the brush.